So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our next episode of NetTalk, which is brought to you by Tanzania-NetTalk. For those who are new to Tanzania-NetTalk, we're more or less an organization based in Germany, dealing with different issues that are related between Tanzania and Germany. So, if you have any, if you need of any information or cooperation questions or whatever it is, current affairs, between Tanzania and Germany, we are more or less dealing with these issues. Yeah. So what have you organized for you today? Today we have two guests, one based in Germany, the other one's based in Tanzania. And we'll be looking at, I think you have all heard about the death of President Magufuli and the takeover of Samia Suluhu. So more or less we'll be focusing with on Samia Suluhu for today. So conducting this NetTalk will be Aneth from Tanzania-NetTalk as well, and she'll be going through with the different questions and interview. Yeah. So Aneth, please, you're welcome.
Thank you, Geoffrey, and thank you for everybody for joining us today. And yes, as Geoffrey mentioned, we have two guests today. The first person I would like to introduce is Elsie Eyakuze. She's based in Dar es Salaam. She's an independent consultant and blogger, and she is a feminist, and she's going to join us today for the discussion.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. And the second person is Mohammed Khelef. He is a poet, Swahili poet, an author, and a journalist working for Deutsche Welle. Mohammed, thank you for being here today.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you, Aneth.
Okay, so we're going to have a discussion of about 20-25 minutes, and then we'll turn to the questions and answer session. And just to start off, what does Mama Samia, what does President Samia stand for, Elsie?
Well, right off the top, I would say Mama Samia stands for the first president we've had in Tanzania who's also a woman. I think that this is a landmark occasion worth noting. It's new territory for us. It's new territory for the entire region. And as a feminist, I'm really very excited about how we're going to react to the situation. I'm very optimistic, and I hope that my fellow Tanzanians and the community at large is also excited about what this entails for us.
Yeah, thank you. Mohammed, in one of your articles, you're writing that Magufuli left a divided nation. What did you mean by that? And where do you, how can the current president bring Tanzanian together where you see the division?
Yeah, actually, Aneth, my argument was that Magufuli managed in one way or the other to have a group of people, and of course not group, but many people who supported and believed in him as, religiously, that he was the best man, the best president, the best of everything ever in the country. On the other hand, he managed as well to have a group, many people as well, who disliked him, who thought that he was the worst president ever to have in Tanzania in our history. Since the time of Nyerere to Mwinyi to Mkapa to Kikwete, they considered him to be the worst president ever. So in this case, he left the legacy, which is mixed legacy. In one way, he was so much loved, and even I can say adored. And on the other hand, he was so much hated, disliked, and even sometimes ignored, if you can say so. So what can Samia do in this situation is that, of course, in one way or the other, Samia is presenting a sense of relief, a sense of a person who can reunite the divided nation. So for me, what is the image that she has in my mind? It is a sort of a comforter, a relief bringer, or thing like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Elise, the words comforter. Eh?
Yes.
I mean, I have read in social medias, those are the words that are being used, and I'm not saying I'm against those terminologies, but do those terminologies show us how much power she has?
I'm not sure that they
As
do.
the first female president?
I'm not sure how much of it has to do with her being a woman and how much has to do with people perhaps expressing many of the frustrations that they felt with the policies of the late President Magufuli. I think there's a mixture of the two of them, and the fact that she's a president who's also a woman, I think, kind of calls to something within us that is sort of attracted to the maternal aspect of it. So that bleeds into the language that we use when we refer to her, as Mama Samia. So, because we associate motherhood with nurturing, and nurturing is comforting, of course. I think that this comes out in our social media as well when we talk about her and we say her policies bring us comfort. There's something beyond just the day-to-day running of government that is speaking to us in our personal lives, in our day-to-day lives, that feels like, okay, something has changed. Maybe I'm feeling better about policies that affect me directly as a woman, as a mother, as a father, as a business owner, whatever it may be. There's that sort of interpersonality of it. How much of that has to do with the fact that she's a woman versus just the fact that there's a bit of a shift in certain policies, I'm not entirely certain. But because we are a patriarchal society, I'm going to guess that yes, it is a factor. Her gender is a factor. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, Mohammed, you're talking of uniting the nation, but we now have a president who is, the first president who is female, the first president who is from Zanzibar, but at the same time, due to cultural obstacles, but also political obstacles, I would say, she would certainly face certain challenges in uniting the nation. And I think you pointed out some of those in one of your articles. And what exactly are those challenges? Which steps should Mama Samia, our president, take? And which challenges is she supposed to be aware of while doing that?
As others are saying, which I also do support the idea or the argument that Mama Samia is faced from the very beginning obstacles from her own party, the party which for last 5.5 years used to be a one-man party. I mean, what Magufuli was deciding was the decision of the party. Magufuli was everything, or the government, or the judiciary, or the parliament was everything. So the first challenge for her is to go back to the book, to go back to the way things should be. I mean, separating the powers of the branches of the government, the parliament, the judiciary, the executive, which of course, she is the head of the executive, and things like this. And the other one is about the media. Actually, as we experienced, all of us in media, is that we were taken hostage. I mean, we were taken hostage by Magufuli's regime. So for her to be making some progress on it is to have a very strong media in the country, because it's the one that will help her in seeing things that she cannot see while sitting in Ikulu, in Dodoma, or in Dar es Salaam. So she needs the strong media. She needs strong NGOs, I mean civil society, that can help her on molding again, or remolding, if I can use that word, restructuring the community which is falling apart. So she needs many things in one time, and it's being said that maybe there is no one point that she can do this, and that will be the bullet for everything. But of course, the challenges are there. But I do have trust in her that if she wants, she can do anything. Because then let's remember that Magufuli managed to do all that he did, because our constitution is the constitution which allows any president to be doing whatever he or she wants. Once Mwalimu Nyerere said that this constitution gives me the power to be a king or even a semi-god.
Yeah.
So she had the instruments if she wants to do things.
Thank you. Before we come back to the constitution, I mean, you talked about Mohammed, you talked about Magufuli being hated by many, but also being loved by many. Now, Elsie, those who loved Magufuli, what can Samia do, or what policies should she keep that also benefit the Tanzanians, the nation, but at the same time align with what Magufuli was standing for? So those who love Magufuli can at least have the feeling they're being comforted.
Well, if I look, I would say that one of the strongest themes, if you want to call it that, of his presidency was that he was a builder. I think of him as Magufuli the builder, you know, so he built things that were physically present. And I think she's going to continue, if she continues in the vein of building infrastructure like he did, that would be a wonderful sense of continuity. And what she can add perhaps that would be her own would be also building the community relations, the political relations that may have been somewhat harmed by in the past 5 or 6 years. So I see in that both a contrast and a continuity, but if you just adopt the idea of building something optimistic, you know, it's something that yields results, really. I think that's something that Magufuli, people who love Magufuli had it completely right. He was very efficient at getting things done. He got things built. If he said it was going to be built, it did get built. And that was really amazing. Something that I highly respect. And I think that if President Samia continues with that, that would be great. Yeah.
Okay, so we have the builder, Magufuli, the one-man show guy. So I mean, but as a feminist, what aspect didn't you like about him? In a way, maybe he addressed women, girls. I mean, where were the problems? Where were the problems for you, or were there no problems at all?
There were pretty serious problems, I can say, as a feminist, as a woman, as a Tanzanian woman who's also feminist, all of those all together. I found that the language that he used pertaining to women, speaking about women's issues, speaking to women, all of them were highly problematic for me. And unfortunately, because we have such a high regard for our head of state, this started also affecting the way that people in our day-to-day lives, people started talking to women and treating women. So I felt like we went from a position of relative respect to sort of coming down, and the patriarchy became stronger, and people were braver about talking to women with disrespect and saying things that they would never have dreamt of saying, even 7 years ago, 10 years ago. So I found that extremely difficult on a personal level. And there were many policies which I disagreed with intensely, particularly the idea that girls who are still attending school should be expelled if they fall pregnant, as though they did it on their own. I had a lot of trouble with that one. I still do. It's not a policy I can accept. Yeah.
Do you think we're going back to, the current president is going to take us back to, I would say, right measures of, or maybe policies that enable young women and girls having more access to education?
That's my hope, to be honest. I honestly can't pretend to predict what President Samia is going to do. But that's my hope. And in the past couple of weeks, from what I've seen, when she has analyzed the situation and intends to fix it in a particular way, she's been very consistent. So I suspect that as a woman herself, she has, she's got family, she's got kids of her own, etc. I think she understands on a very personal level, a very visceral level, what it takes in order to build a family, a community, a society. And so I do hope that she will address this issue in a much more constructive way, frankly.
Yeah. Thank you. Mohammed, you touched a bit about the powers that that a president has under the Tanzanian constitution. And as I remember, President Samia had an important role in the Constituent Assembly when the first draft of a new constitution was written. So my question is, I mean, do you see that work is going to be resumed? And in particular, the incorporation of a specific human rights that were not available, that are not available in the current constitution, and also limiting the power of the president. Is that something that you think under the presidency of Mama Samia is going to be done?
She should do that, but I'm not sure if she will do that. I mean, she will do that. I mean, there is much difference between what has to be done and what she wants to do. I mean, or she wants to see done in her government. Remember that Samia is from the Chama cha Mapinduzi system, the same party which brought all the mess, the same party which, of course, in some of us believe that destroyed the very soul of the constitution, which Wananchi wanted. I mean, the citizens were aired their views. They said what they wanted in the constitution. And when they met in Dodoma, in which Mama Samia was the vice chairman of the chairwoman of the parliament, they decided to put it into the desk. Into the dustbin, and they came with something quite different from what Wananchi wanted. So with that case, if for those who say that Mama Samia should bring the process of Katiba constitution on the track, we should ask them which Katiba, which constitution, the one that they in Dodoma created, or the one that our former Chief Justice Warioba gathered from Wananchi, the Wananchi constitution or the system's constitution. So in this case, if I heard her, I mean, when she was chairing the swearing-in ceremony for the secretaries, that the word Katiba is coming in my mouth every now and then, but they should wait, maybe meaning us who wants her to have the Katiba there on the spot, that we should wait. But the question is, which Katiba that comes to her mouth? The Katiba that they created in Dodoma, or the Katiba that Wananchi wanted in this case? Yeah.
Yes. Oh, thank you. And before we go to the question, Elsie, I have a question. And we talked yesterday, and you talked of the 33% women in parliament. And although maybe Magufuli's image on women was not that what we wish for, but he had a women appointed in office, and without having a vice president that was a woman, maybe we wouldn't be having the first female president in Tanzania. So now we have Mama Samia, and she's representing women in power. And I would dare to say it's still, women in power are still a minority. Now, what about the other sexual minorities in Tanzania? Do you have hopes that maybe in the next 4 years, something might change for them?
What do you mean by sexual minority?
Gay, lesbians,
LGBTQ plus, etc. I actually, from what I've listened to, I have to be very honest, from what I've listened to, I have not heard any indications in this direction whatsoever. The topic hasn't come up in any kind of public discussion. I haven't read anything in the newspapers that indicates that this is a topic that's open to discussion. So, in the private sector, in the media sector, in the public sector, I don't see anyone raising it in any particular way. So my frank sensation right now is that no, I don't see this changing anytime soon. I don't expect any kind of dramatic, yeah, it's not really on the agenda right now. I have seen no indications. So.
Okay, thank you. So if there were 3 things that you would pick, Mohammed, and say, after 4 years, President Samia being in power, these are 3 things that she should certainly change, what would they be?
Actually, the first thing, as I said earlier, is to go back to the principles of the nation. I mean, the nation which was accustomed on having a sort of freedom of expression, freedom of association, and things like this. So freedom for people is to be her first priority. Freedom which was taken away in the last 5 years. This is to be back. I mean, this will be a very great legacy. It's not, I mean, something that that is to be even to be thought of if you are living outside of Tanzania, because for us living here, to be free is what to be human. But then the thing is that after, as we said, that having the sort of constitution which allows the president to do and to be everything that she or he wants to be, then that is problematic. That is problematic, actually. So President Samia, for me, what she's to do in the last, I mean, counting her 4 years plus, she would coming out in the 2020 that I took the country which was locked and I opened it. I unlocked it. That is it. For me, that would be the best thing. The other thing could follow, but then the freedom people should. I mean, people should be free to express their views. Media should be free. Parliament should be free. Of course, in this, I've got my issues well with which parliament as well, because then we know that what Magufuli left in the country, actually, he took the country which was maybe a show of multi-party, not so much as is to be for other countries, but then it was a multi-party country. But then he left the country which is mostly, almost, of course, a single-party country. So when we say that we want Mama Samia to live, to unlock Bunge, to free Bunge, then the question is which Bunge as well? This Bunge that Magufuli left us with, or the other Bunge? But anyway, the freedom actually is what needed in Tanzania.
Okay, so freedom, the feeling that people are free to speak, free to express themselves, freedom of assembly, freedom of the media. And you also mentioned, I mean, probably also constitutional reforms.
Oh,
okay.
Of course.
And what would those things be for you, Elsie?
Oh, the 3 things, what would they be for me? Looking at the aspect of nurturing, I'd like to see education policies which are a lot kinder to students in school. I'd like, aside from addressing the issue of what happens to girls who fall pregnant when they're still in school, I'd like us to be able to talk about what about preschool and daycare kind of facilities that are offered in the public sector. So I know that we're supposed to have a basic education that has a preschool component, but not many schools have the funding to do that. And it's really important because basic, like good nutrition when children are young is really important for their development, for their health. So I'd like to see that addressed. I'd like to see addressed matters of personal safety, bodily safety when it comes to women. I think women should be citizens like any other. We should be able to walk around our cities. We should be able to be in public spaces without fear that we're going to be attacked or aggressed in any way just because we're women. It should not be acceptable to do that. So in that sense, and that also extends to other so-called minorities, such as, younger people, young men, and so on and so forth. Every Tanzanian should feel safe in the public space. And representation, sorry.
What do you mean by that?
Representation is that. I mean that because we're in a patriarchal society, even though we make up 51% of the population, we don't actually make up 51% of the people making decisions.
Let's wait for her to come back.
Okay, right. So
yeah. Anyway, but why she's trying to reconnect, Mohammed, I mean, yeah, so a president who is a woman from Zanzibar, what does it make? I mean, maybe what vibe, what feeling did it bring on Zanzibar?
Actually, not to mention that she's a woman from Zanzibar. The very same that she is a Zanzibari that brought vibes, of course. I mean, to people there. As my co-moderator, I mean, my co-guest here has said that it is the first time we have the president. I mean, maybe to you. From Zanzibar, though we know that we had Mr. Ali Hassan Mwinyi, who came from Zanzibar by definition, and though not born in Zanzibar, because he was a Zanzibari by any definition that we can say in this sense. But of course, we are having the president now come from Zanzibar. For us Zanzibari, we say that it was the only way in which the structure of the union allows a Zanzibari to be president. You see. I mean, I've been writing a lot about union matters, about the Zanzibari feelings on it. On the sense that if you see the way they structured the union, there is no way a Zanzibari could be a president of Tanzania. I mean, why? Because then they don't consider Zanzibar to be I mean, a single entity or separate entity of the nation of Tanzania. It's just they take it as a way they take Tabora or Kigoma or whatever. So for it to be noticed that we are having a president from Zanzibar, there are to be situations, and it is very unfortunate that the situation was the death of the president that made a Zanzibari a president.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I mean, I think the biggest question in the room, which I haven't even dared to ask, is we know how Magufuli viewed the corona pandemic, calling the nation into a 3-day prayer marathon, and not restricting, I would say travels or public gathering for a certain while, schools being opened, and him also not, taking the whole pandemic not serious, no mask, nothing. And now he's gone. And do you think that our current president is going to take another direction towards this, the way she handles corona, and also, you talked about freedom of press and media and all that. Do you think we are finally going to find out how many official corona cases have been recorded in Tanzania? So issues of statistics, transparency, what is your take on that?
Again, I say she should do that, but whether she would do that, that is a question which I cannot answer. Actually, she should do that because that is the way she tried to promise when in her speech, that knowing that going alone you can reach somewhere quickly or quicker, but going with others you will reach further. So with this saying, I thought she wanted to say that I will go hand in hand with the world in each and everything, including corona thing, and we'll have the protocol set in the country. I mean, collecting data, announcing the numbers, taking all precaution measures and measures to be taken by authorities there and citizens to avoid, or at least to minimize the effects of corona in the country. That she should do. Whether she will do, that is a question. Then, of course, she mentioned in her speech that she wanted to form a committee. The committee will advise her or advise the authority on what measures to be taken. We are waiting for that committee, and then we can see if she really means to have another direction different from her predecessor, Mr. Magufuli, the late Magufuli. For now, it is a question to wait and see.
Okay, thank you. I think she also mentioned about, this committee should also be responsible in looking into the vaccines issues. And I have been seeing how, those, let me say, followers and supporters of the late president that feel a bit betrayed that once he's gone, now we're now talking about vaccines, something that would have not been put on the table if you were still alive. So there is also this feeling of, now somebody is betraying the nation. And how can she, there's so many dynamics in one country. Who can she rely on within CCM, within the system as well? We know it's a system. Are there people she can rely on?
Of course, if it comes to, as you said, there are dynamics. And in every system, the dynamics are not to be, they don't always go together in one direction. There are dynamics going to north, to the east, to the south, to the west. They do so in every system. So to say, it might be that there are people in the system which were still with Magufuli, praising him, whatever he said, and of course, even defending his stance when he was live, when he was there. But now he's gone. They say that no, we were just fulfilling our duties to the president. But our stand on that matter was this one. I think there is that group in the system in which Samia now can rely to on having the new direction, the new dimensions on taking or looking at things. I think they are there. They've always been there. We are hearing one of these of the hearsay stories from on the time of Stalin. Stalin of Russia. That when he died, his vice president took power, and he started to do things differently. And one of the comrades wrote a note in the meeting, asking him, why now? What the hell you are doing now? You are there, his vice president, supporting everything, and now you turn everything around. And of course, when he got the note, the vice president, the now president, read and asked the audience, "Who wrote this?"
Hello.
And nobody in the audience raised their hand that it was me. So after
bahati mbaya simu yangu ndio imepata tatizo, kwa hiyo sasa hivi inatumia connection nyingine.
I think okay.
She's back.
So, good. So nobody in the audience raised their hand that it was me writing that. And after 3 minutes, he said that you see what? The fear that you are having now there, it is the fear that I had at that time. So of course there is always this dimension in any system in the world.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Elsie is back, and I would like her to we have heard that President Samia appointed a lady as Secretary for Foreign Affairs. And what is your take on that? Who is Liberata Mulamulla?
I believe that Ambassador Mulamulla is a long-term civil servant who's been in the foreign service for a number of years. Yes, she is a woman, but I think that your question implies that she might have been appointed as Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Yes.
President Samia has actually been appointing people on the basis of their competence, and she has appointed women in her cabinet. Ambassador Mulamulla is by no means the only one.
Yeah. So you're saying, she's not appointing women, but she's appointing experience and work ethics. So it's not just by them being women. So that also shows us we have women that can take up top government roles and offices.
And I want to emphasize that we have always had women in top government positions in the government of Tanzania since the time of independence. That was one of the policies that Mwalimu Nyerere actually had. And I would challenge anyone to prove otherwise, because frankly speaking, our history is women.
Oh, your connection is not stable. So, I mean, while waiting for her to come back, I mean, I have another question for you, Mohammed. I mean, we heard that she lifted the ban for media, YouTube, I mean, in online media channels. And I think maybe that is the way, I would say, a step towards the freedom you're talking of, freedom of press. But also we're talking about the right to political participation, for instance. And I would like you to maybe to give us a brief on how she has approached the opposition, political opposition parties in the few weeks she's been in power.
As much as we know is that, I mean, is what she said openly, that we can say this a sort of her methodology to reach out to opposition. In the first time when she announced the death of President Magufuli, she spoke about being called and being comforted by the opposition leaders, which of course is sort of recognition that of course they are here, they exist, and we are together. And when she gave her maiden speech, she spoke about the time of healing and reconciliation, the time of looking forward, not looking backward, with a lot of accusations and things like this. So those were the words that others do translate as if meaning that she was showing that I am here to reunite the nation, including the opposition leaders and opposition parties. And as we heard in the statement that Mr. Freeman Mbowe of Chadema, the main opposition party in Tanzania, that used to be the main opposition party in Tanzania, that she allowed his accounts to be unfrozen after being frozen. And in that case, it was a sort of showing that we can now at least tolerate and work together. So there is no, till now, any move that can make us say, oh, now she's meeting. There is no meeting till now. There is no letter shared, at least on public on public sphere. There is no communication that we have seen, but there is feelings. And sometimes, politics is about feelings. Politics is all about feelings. So sometimes these feelings are playing a major part in decision making, and sometimes even in our attitude toward other people. So the attitude now is that Mama Samia is trying to heal the nation.
Yeah. Thank you. I know, Mohammed, you are a fan of the Swahili language as a poet, as an author, and there is a question on language. And I think before moving to Germany, I think that was a discussion in Tanzania that there were people that wanted Swahili as the medium of instruction, not only for primary schools, but also up to the ladder to university. And I mean, we know we have relatives back home. If you talk to them, their children speak English, but they live in Tanzania, and you ask yourself, why are they not talking in Swahili to them at home? So, I mean, do you think that is something that maybe because people are saying Mama Samia is teaching us Swahili, the way she speaks is so pure. Do you think there is a certain motivation we can get from our language, yes, and maybe love a language more?
It is sort of mania, the sort of mania. I mean, if people love someone, they can try to get each and everything, even the way she's wearing, the way she's walking, the way she's talking, and the way she's doing what and other things. It's sort of mania. It is what people should expect. She is from Zanzibar. She was born and raised in Zanzibar. She is coming from the home of Swahili, and so she could speak it. She would control it the way she wants it. So for me, there is nothing special about her speaking the language. for me, it was special that Magufuli, who was not, coming from the Lake Victoria there, far from the Swahili world and speaking the language, or as it was for from Nyerere's time, coming from Mara and speaking Swahili. For them, yes, it is a question. Of course, it was in this case, we can also give credit to Magufuli himself.
Yeah,
he was the one who was supporting and, of course, spearheading the campaign for Kiswahili to be reaching further into official international bodies in the world. Umoja wa Africa, African Union, to everywhere. So in this case, till now, it is too early to say what Mama Samia will do on the case of language Kiswahili. Apart from that, she is very fluent. Because, of course, what do you expect? A fish, the fish should know how to swim. She's coming. She, of course, that is the way she is. But if she will do more in campaigning for the language, for us, we believe that Kiswahili, as you say, I'm among them. They believe that Kiswahili can be used from any level of communication, from any level of learning, from nursery school to university. So if she will do something about that, that then would be special. For now, there is nothing special, I think.
Okay, thank you. We have a question again related to how our president is addressed.
Aneth?
Yeah?
Sorry? Aneth?
Okay.
I have Elsie on the phone here, so you can also raise questions.
Great, because we have a few questions for her. And I think the biggest question, we talked about it at the beginning of our discussion, and it has been brought up again in the question session, which is how we call our president. I most of the times say President Mama Samia without an ill intention behind it. But we never said President Baba John. We always said Magufuli. So, what is your take on that? Because here in Germany, calling the Chancellor Mutti, it has nothing to do with respect. So what is your take on that, Elsie? And then I'll come back to Mohammed.
We've always had a tradition almost of giving our presidents, our heads of state, some kind of a nickname in Tanzania. And it's usually done either out of fondness or maybe sometimes to send a message about how you feel about them. So each one of Mama Samia's predecessors has had a nickname. And when it comes to our current head of state, I think it's very, very early days. I don't want to make any assumptions either way about what it means when we call her Mama Samia, although I do know that culturally speaking, calling someone Mama is a form of respect, a form of deep respect and affection. And I think that so far it's been used in that sense, as far as I can tell. I haven't seen people use it in a disrespectful way yet. And I don't know if that will come with time. But yes, with time also we will find out as we give our head of state various nicknames what we really feel about her performance as our president.
Thank you. Mohammed?
About that, actually, it is very strange that people want to think that negatively in our context. They should understand our culture first. They should understand that the culture are different. Actually, I was in debate with one of Western journalists who asked me how should we now in the Western media represent her name. For example, when we speak about her after having mentioned her in the first name, President Samia Suluhu Hassan, and then in the next sentence should say President Hassan or President Suluhu. And I told her that we don't do that in our language. We even in the third to fourth to fifth to what sentence, we will still call her President Samia Suluhu, or even with one name, President Samia. And she asked me the same question, that why did you call Magufuli President John in the other state when you came to the letter? I told her, which I also say here, that in our culture, women do not carry the badge of their male counterparts. Even if it is even if it is a father, or if it is a husband or thing like this. We get problem with this, it is cultural thing here. I got that problem in myself. I came here to Germany. My name is Mohammed Khelef Mohammed. I mean, it comes to the whole name. And they asked me, what is your family name? I told them that I don't have any family name. My name is Mohammed. My father is Khelef. My father's father, which is my grandfather, is Mohammed. So I got this Mohammed from my grandfather. So I'm Mohammed Khelef Mohammed. And you know what? Till now, for 10 years, they haven't reconciled with that. They send me letter here that write Khelef Mohammed or only Mohammed Khelef or whatever, but then they never reconcile that I am Mohammed Khelef Mohammed. So it is a question about culture and interpretations about it. In our culture, Swahili culture, which Mama Samia is coming from, we are using the first name always with the word mama, which is as my co-guest said here, that always mean deep affection and love and respect.
Thank you. We call, so we have, I mean, going by what Elisa said, we have an AKA, Mama Samia, nothing negative, only positive. We had the birder, the bulldozer, who built mainly on Tanzania mainland. Now we have a president from Zanzibar. Do you both think maybe we'll see more projects on Zanzibar compared to what Magufuli was doing Tanzania mainland? And at the same time, we know he was a friend of the Chinese. So do you think, or do you wish any emancipation from the Chinese industry, the Chinese partnership in Tanzania? Because I mean, it's very problematic.
You mean Mohammed. Who was the friend? You mean first, who was the friend of Chinese, Magufuli or Mama Samia?
Magufuli. The question is Magufuli being a fan of the Chinese. That's the question we are receiving.
Was he? Because then what I know is that many projects that were there when he came, that were with Chinese stamp on it, was stopped.
Yes.
So I don't know if Magufuli, I don't know. I mean, also in circle could know that if he ever had a real friend from outside his circle. I mean, for me, he was neither Western nor Eastern. He was neither with Chinese nor with American. He was.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I looked at him, and of course, that is what also I admired him in one way or the other. I mean, we have to give what they say, give the devil his due. He wasn't devil actually. He was a human being, a president, and of course, very, very much respected by other people. Just as the saying say, so goes in English. I want to say that Magufuli, for me, he didn't keep a friend in this sense, as much as I know it comes to the international politics. I mean, geopolitics. Now comes to the question of whether Mama Samia will also do the same, building her home country as Magufuli was doing to Tanzania mainland. As if you take from other experiences, I mean, from other leaders coming from Zanzibar, I don't know if it is very unfortunate or it is something to be proud of. For me, I'm proud of that. Leaders from Zanzibar, they don't consider building their own places.
Okay.
They don't. I mean, if you look, late Maalim Seif, who died 1 month before Magufuli, he was second in command even before the multi-party, when he was in CCM later in 1980s to 1980s. He did nothing to his home country, I mean, to his home island Pemba, or to his home village Mtambwe, where he was buried. If you had also Ali Shen, Dr. Ali Mohammed Shen, who was the vice president as well for almost 10 years. Of course, he took the position after the death of Omar Al-Juma, who was also from Pemba as well, and they never did anything to their home island, to their home country. I mean, to their side. I don't Ali Hassan Mwinyi as well. I mean, when he was the president of Tanzania, coming from that time from Zanzibar, he did nothing special for Zanzibar. And I think that is the way they did their policy, which I admire. For me, it is something to admire that he, the president, the president of Tanzania, she's the president of only Zanzibar. She could work for the whole Tanzania. I mean, I think that should if there is one thing that she should be fair. If something to be done, should be done if it is either in Tanzania mainland or in Zanzibar. But I don't think that should do anything. Should put emphasis on building his own chateau in Kizimkazi, where she comes from. I don't like to do that.
Okay. Thank you. For those who are listening, Chato is where the late president came from. And he made sure that he built an airport close to his home. Yes.
Bank.
Thank you. And last question for Elsie is, I mean, you were the one saying, hey, I mean, Magufuli, the builder. So was he the builder? Did he come up with the project, or did he just take over from Kikwete?
He didn't necessarily take over the project because, as I understand it, our government does make plans which will span over several administrations. We have 50-year plans, 25-year plans, and so on and so forth. So in that sense, there's no one president who can wholly claim beginning a project and seeing it through to its completion. What I do think that the late President Magufuli brought to it was actual vigor and efficiency and results. We have had problems in the past where we commit to a vision, but actually enacting it and making sure that we complete what we say we will has not come quite so easily. And I think this is something that was really remarkable about the late Magufuli's presidency, is that, you know, if he said that a road was going to be built or a building was going to be built, it actually got built within the amount of time, more or less, that he had given for the project. So in that sense, yes, he is a builder. Even if the projects were not begun by him, they were certainly completed by him. And some of them were added by him as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. We still have a lot of questions. I'm sorry we couldn't answer all of the questions. We have questions related to SDGs, climate change, and others are still coming in, but we need to stop here. Thank you, Mohammed.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Elsie, for joining. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're looking forward to working with you, I don't know, in the future again. There are still questions and topics to be addressed. And